Hello and welcome back to the DP World Tour Picks and Bets show for the Mayo Media Network. I'm joined by Ryan Baroff. Ryan, this is our third week in a row as Sky continues to travel. People might be screaming for him back at this point because I was absolutely awful last week at the BMW. I think I only got one guy through the cut, and it was Jens Danstorp, who kind of meandered to a 25th place finish.
Yep.
Top five. I mean, he actually played pretty well at one point, but
yeah, tough week. But I would say you and I are due for a winner. John Deere looked more promising than BMW last week. I had a couple guys miss the cut on the number. Got a little back for a Gavin Green first round lead, but he finished last of all the people who made the cut. So, and then nearly a top 20 again on Mayo, who I know we shouted out. I think he finished like 26th or 25th or something. So that was painful as well. So.
Is Cabrera Bello going to win the Isco Championship? Bit of foreshadowing for later on, but
yeah, I'm going to bet the top 20 again. I can tell you that much.
Absolutely, he's playing well. So I guess we'll sort of recap the BMW International. It was a classic. Daniel Brown has had a couple of chances to win, and he's got the job done. Jordan Smith doesn't get the job done. It's kind of one of those classic ones. Hard for Smith because I actually thought, considering he shot 67. A bit of a hard luck story, someone that struggles to get over the line, but he did bogey 3 of the first kind of 5 holes in the back 9, and his driver went a bit awry, so can't feel too sorry for him. Another good week for Kazumi Kabori, Davis Bryant, Joost Laursen keeps running back the years. Right-hand finishes 4th week after, I think is a great bet the week before. I think it was one of those when you look at Laporta, we mentioned, is he going to play well? He keeps playing well, and I didn't really see it, but it finishes in 7th place. Schmid finishes 7th at home. Cantor's playing well, obviously. Peng didn't hang on as much as I thought he would, but he's just playing really solid golf at the moment, Marco Peng.
Lots of guys from the top of the board that you named there, right? It was just sort of one of those weeks, and obviously Dan Brown wasn't, but he's someone who we've talked about many times, has the winning upside on those more difficult kind of linksy style layouts. It did feel like Jordan Smith was going to win most of the day. But yeah, like you mentioned, when he made the turn, he kind of lost it. I think that's like 4 straight top 5 finishes for him at that course. So it's for sure one to keep an eye. I think he'll be a favorite there every year he goes back. And then a couple guys you mentioned who I'm actually on this week. We'll talk about Laurie Cantor and Christopher Wrighthand. I think Cantor, that first round, he missed like 4 3-footers. And if not for that, he really was right in it. So he's playing great. I really like him. I still think Wrighthand is criminally underrated, considering he's basically been the best player in Europe all year. And he was as long as, I think, about 200 to 1 here this morning. So, yeah, we'll talk through them. But I think a couple of those guys I have some interest in at the Genesis.
Yeah, I mean, let's look at this overall then. The Scottish Open Renaissance Golf Club, we've seen it for a number of years now, going back, I think, to 2019, 2020 was the first couple of years. It's been used as a kind of PGA Tour event for the last 3 years, right? Ryan, it was 2022 that this kind of introduced. So Minwoo Lee was the last one to win kind of the regular DP World Tour event. That was over Thomas Dietrich and Fitz. I think it's a. Is it fair to say a sort of fake links, Ryan? Unless we get really harsh weather, right? Like it's pretty fake link golf course.
Yeah, I mean, you've seen the names that have been there, like not your traditional link style players. You've got Minwoo and you've got Thomas Dietrich, lots of Rory action, Matt Fitzpatrick. I'm definitely leaning more with the driver putter heavy mold. I think you can definitely play these courses with short game and with iron play, but yes, more of an Americanized link style golf course.
I think with that comes like a overvaluing of DP World Tour stalwarts or link stalwarts, and then an undervaluing of PGA Tour regulars that might just be playing really well. And we'll come on to a couple of names. But I guess the first order of business is just to look at the top of the odds board, and you've got kind of Scott Scheffler plus 450, Rory McIlroy plus 850. Tommy Xander 22 to 1, then Colin Morikawa 25, Ludwig Aberg 30s. Little note there that Colin Morikawa, if people haven't seen it, is now working with Billy Foster for the next 2 weeks. There's two things to look at this, Ryan, is that I really like the decision to do that for a 2-week stint. I think it shows an element of maturity of like, actually, I need someone to whip me into shape, and Billy Foster will do that. So I like that he's done that to himself. The counter arguments I've seen so far is that 2 weeks is not enough to build up a relationship. I'd push back on that a little bit. I think if you're a really good player and you just need a bit of guidance, then it's absolutely fine. We saw Fleetwood at the Masters with the kind of regular caddy there. So I think it's absolutely fine. So from that perspective, I think I'd give Colin a slight boost of just like he's humbled himself, asked someone to help him out. Fleetwood, I'm just never going to bet at 22-1. It's just fine. I'd rather just be happy for him to win.
Good. We can have that argument because I did bet Tommy Fleetwood this morning. I had kind of planned to even prior to the Travelers and sort of what's been happening. So I wasn't going to back off of that now. I think very clearly he should be the third favorite here, as he is. I still think 22 is fairly generous considering how well he's been playing. I was honestly shocked to see Rory at 850. I feel like that's a worthy number, and it almost got me. He obviously has a lot to look forward to next week, but he's played this golf course tremendously well. I think his form right now is a little bit underrated. He's like not playing that bad, right? He just had a couple of bad weeks in the post-Augusta lull. But I did bet Fleetwood at 22. Basically the same number you can get him for next week in a major. So, and he's seen this golf course many more times. Like, you can't keep putting yourself in that position if you're not playing well, right? So I'm going to trust that. He has enough scar tissue built up that I really don't think it's going to impact him that much, right? He's been here before. He should be very comfortable here. So I did bet Tommy Fleetwood at 22-1 this morning.
Yeah, so a couple of lines of thought. One, as I said, I just won't do it. That's just the hard and fast rule I've got. I think he is just as likely to win next week as he is this week. I don't think there's really... I know you said about, obviously, now the point you make about playing the course so many more times, I think is absolutely a fair one. My slight concern is he lost to Aaron Rai here before it was even a PGA Tour event. That's like my... And I think that's... I'm that person that lets that stick in my head too much. And you're right. Like, if you keep putting yourself in the mix, you should just go with the form. As you said, he's lost enough times that he's kind of used to it. It's not going to be a devastating loss. I mean, it is devastating. Like, it's not going to change his mind. And I think that it's a fair one. Of like, he's a very similar number to last week. And I did look at the without markets as well, but he's like 12-1 there if you take out like Scotty and Rory. It's just not even worth it at that point. I mean, I think he should be the favorite in that market, but wasn't worth it. So I'll go 22-1. Hopefully he gets across the line here. Yeah, and I think the comment about Rory, I think there is a huge gap between him and Scheffler. For the first time in a while, I think it's wrong. As you said, I think the form, because we've seen it been bad on the biggest of stages, people are getting really caught up on it. He's come back to life the last couple of weeks. Really likes his golf course. He benefits from the fact that it's not a really true links, but also has that edge to get creative around the greens when it's needed. So I do get that completely. I went back to the well. I'm going back to the defending champion of Robert McIntyre. And I just felt there's a couple of things really. I felt the number was fair at 33-1. That was obviously the first thing I had to kind of add up in my head is, am I okay with this? The second part of it is that the obvious pushback is going to be, is he going to win as a defending champion? It's his home event that comes with an awful lot of pressure. He's got the Open Championship next week. Two things with that is the one, he came back from one of the most devastating losses probably he's ever going to suffer in his career, with Rory McIlroy playing a fantastic shot the year before and beating him by one shot with a birdie on 18. He takes 12 months to kind of enact vengeance on that. Yes, he gets help with a bit of a sprinkler head, fine. I like the fact that after finishing second at the US Open, he then went back to the Travelers, played pretty well there. Best round came in the final round. And this is the guy that's finished first, second, 14th, and 18th for this golf course. Like, he clearly enjoys a golf course. He is now like a 4-time winner. It's a completely different prospect to any year I think that we've seen McIntyre. I know last year he was coming off the Canadian Open win, but I think winning this just completely changed my attitude towards him, and he's been very consistent this year.
Yeah, I like it. I've been on him this summer. I think I bet him in Canada, if I remember correctly. But yeah, he's been playing really consistent.
Like, just to cut in, like I think going back to the kind of defending argument, that he finished like 30th, so it looks like he didn't defend very well. 2 rounds 65. Like, he's playing really good.
Yeah, and I think he can win this a couple different ways, right? He's not going to shy away if we get wind, rain, and bad conditions, but obviously he can also win here with the driver and putter. I think it's a good shout.
Yeah, I think the versatility is a really good point there, and one I didn't make myself, but I agree with it. Second one, we're both on, and it's Matt Fitzpatrick at 45-1. If I'd opened up my Twitter this afternoon and didn't see you bet Matt Fitzpatrick, I'd be really concerned about what I've done.
I already bet him for next week, so I had to bet him this week.
I mean, that might be crazy, but like this week, I think we're getting Matt Fitzpatrick at not the bottom, because he's kind of worked his way up, but he's still on that upward trajectory of returning to what he was, right? Not quite 2022 US Open winner. He's not quite the 2023 where he wins twice, including a Daniel Lings. But he's not that far away in terms of his ball striking. Approach play looks really good. He led the field in tee screen at the Travelers. He's now made 6 cuts in a row after not being able to make one for ages. He's had a couple of top 8s after not having a year basically without a top 10. Like, he's now back to the Fitz that we sort of know, I think.
It was really bad, right? It was a combination, I think, of the driver issues that he had with the equipment.
Yeah.
Probably some injury stuff. He got married as well, right? Like, you can't overlook that. I'm sure we're going to get news that he's having a kid soon, right? Like, that's just on
that point. I think it's that. Like, and the reason I think it's the lifestyle change. I'm never going to sit here and go like, don't get married, it's going to ruin your golf. He was someone that recorded every swing he's ever taken, including on the drive. We see it famously on drives, on the full swing and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
If you take your eyes slightly off the ball when you're someone that has to be that meticulous to succeed, it happens, I think. And I think because we're seeing him now come to this stage and play really well again, yes, I think there's injuries. Yes, I think there's driver issues, whatever. It's not all to blame. It's a combination of everything. But I do think if you just, take your eye off the ball slightly, change in lifestyle, someone like him is really effective. Yeah.
And again, we were looking for some signs. And like you mentioned, the iron play is finally back. He's now gained off the tee, I think, in 3 or 4 straight. Yeah. I thought Quail Hollow was a bit of an aberration, and maybe it was, but then again, he backed it up. He played well at the Memorial, played well at the US Open, and then really strong at Travelers and at the Rocket Classic. So really like him. I'm on him next week as well. Obviously, he's done well at this golf course too. So Matt Fitzpatrick, I got 45-1. He's another guy who I would probably have interest in those without markets as well, but I got him early in the full market.
Yeah, I mean, look, you mentioned about gaining 3 events in a row off the tee. He's got better every week as well. That's the main thing. Yeah. Significantly better all 3 times, getting better on approach the last 2 times, better on around the green. Everything. The putter has actually gone a little bit cold the last 2 weeks, but that can change in an instant. And I just think he's close to being that guy again. And 45-1 looks. I think we're at the point now we have to make a decision about him rather than being 80-1. Yeah, I kind of likened it to like someone like a Hovland. If he goes to 80, I'm never going to ask questions, right? I'm just going to bet him 80, or should have bet him 80-1, whatever it was at the Valspar.
Sure.
Someone like Fitz, if he's 80-1, it's because he's playing absolutely awfully, and I need to see something, and I'm now seeing it. I'd rather take the 45-1 then. So I'm really high on Fitz this week. I like his chances a lot.
Yep, absolutely, and he's got a couple of good finishes here as well. So.
Yeah, absolutely. He lost in that playoff to Memory Lead, and he then finished 6th the following year, 14th on debut. Hasn't been great the last couple of years, but that tracks with his kind of form. Last year's runner-up, Ryan.
Yeah, honestly, had kind of forgot about that. So I don't want to use that as a crutch. But, Adam Scott, notable Leagues player. Not that this is necessarily linked, but a couple good performances this year. Kind of out of nowhere in majors, right? Just kind of one of those guys that, like, anytime he drifts into that 55, 60, or longer range, I certainly have some interest. I like that it's a smaller field where I don't think there's a ton of guys who can win this week. And just going to go with the experience and the pedigree and the form. So I got Adam Scott at 55-1 this morning.
So my only counter to Adam Scott is I feel like he's doing the Justin Rose, I only care about 4 events a year scenario. And I know the counter argument says I finished second in this event last year, but I think it's like warming up for the Open Championship. And it almost feels like he's used up his couple of runs. He was really poor on the Sunday at Open.
Yes, absolutely.
When that got that way and the conditions went the way, I thought he should have benefited from that as opposed to kind of shying away.
Yeah, I think it's hard to sort of put my finger on it, but he's at that point in his career where he doesn't have a way to separate himself, right?
Yeah.
Like, he's a pretty good iron player. He can be a pretty good putter round to round. He's not going to sustain it for 4 days. He doesn't overpower golf courses anymore. Like, everything needs to go perfect for him to contend.
Yeah.
But I think a small field, sort of link style, he's in good form.
And you're
obviously played well here last year, so
basically saying the numbers baked into all of that he does have to play perfect, which I completely get. I have gone with Harry Hall, Ryan. And a couple of lines of thinking. One, he's just a very much improved golfer. That's not even a very good sentence, but he is a much improved golfer.
Playing great, yeah.
23rd in the world according to Data Golf. Maybe a bit generous, but that's now, 6 straight top 25 finishes, 19th in the PGA Championship, 6th at Colonial, 9th at Travelers, hitting his irons really well, putting great all season. He's had, 4 top 10s this year already. The question mark's going to be, can he hang in this sort of event? And I honestly do believe he can. I don't think we've had the evidence to suggest that he would really shit the bed if it came to it. And when you look, 2 years ago, he played in this event, much before he was, an Isco Championship winner in 2024, much before he's kind of found his consistency. He opened with a 71, then shot 64, 66 to be 10th going into the final round, and then shot a 78. It's a really simplistic view to say, I think he'll do better in that position this time around. But that's generally what I think. I generally believe, if he just found himself in 10th place on Sunday this time around, he would climb or at least hang around, rather than absolutely ejecting like he did 2 years ago.
I think so, yeah. And I think probably one of the reasons he hasn't won yet this year is he's now playing all the elevated events, right? Yeah. We've seen him play well in those Vegas events. Obviously saw him won the Isco a couple years ago.
Yeah.
But yeah, like you said, he is a new player right now, much like kind of Ben Griffin, right? Just been uber consistent. He has a bit of that skill set that I'm looking for with the off the tee game. He's not as long off the tee, but he can be pretty accurate. And obviously, being from over here, I'm sure he has played plenty of links golf. I'm sure he's played this course many times. So, I like Harry Hall too.
He was born in Cornwall, which is all by the sea. So it's England rather than Scotland, but it is very much a linked place. So he would have played like that before he got to Vegas. So I like Harry Hall. This is the rogue shout of the week for me, but I think there's a lot of substance to it, right? And I like your thoughts on this. So Nick Taylor is just playing really good golf, isn't he? That's the first thing to just consider, is that he's just in a really good run of form. 17th, one missed cut, but then 4th, 13th, 23rd, and 17th again. When he was 17th for the Travelers, he was 8th for the first 3, inside the top 8 for the first 3 rounds. He was 11th going into the final round of the US Open, finishes 23rd, best ever major finish. 3rd at halfway at Canadian, finished 13th. 4th at the Memorial, he was 36-hole leader there. 17th for the Truist, 6th going into the final round as well. The one missed cut was in the PGA Championship. The Memorial isn't an obvious thing for people to consider, but Jack Nicklaus designed Muirfield Village around Muirfield in Scotland. When you look at some of the parallels, when we talk about Rory, Schauffele, Cantlay, Scheffler all playing well at both, it doesn't really matter. But David Lingmerth won the Memorial, 3rd at the Scottish Open. Benny Ann lost in a playoff at the Memorial, 3rd in the Scottish Open. Tyrrell Hatton, top 12 in both. Cameron Tringale was 6th at the Scottish Open and was the first round leader. He finished 16th in the Memorial. Lee Hodges, 12th in both. But Zadenhout, 4th Memorial, 16th at the Scottish Open. So the fact that Taylor played well there recently leans into the fits argument as well. He's played there a couple of times. So I just think the way that Taylor's hitting the ball, which is really eye-catching, the iron play is incredibly good for someone of Taylor's ability. 18th, 21st, 10th, 29th, and 3rd in approach, his last kind of 4 or 5 made cuts, 8th, 10th, 42nd, and 1st, the last 4 in tee to green. So you factor all that in, then you go, okay, well, can he play this type of golf? He's played here 3 times, made the cut 3 times. He opened with 75 on debut, hit a second round 68 to make the cut, and sort of petered into nothing over the weekend. Second year, finished 19th, and he had a third round 65 and an opening 68. And then last year, weren't finished yet, but opened 65, closed with a pair of 69s, and scoring obviously just got away from him. Think about the fact that he won Pebble Beach in the win. Think about the fact that he's won Sony. I just think the profile's there for someone like Taylor.
I do too. I think, like you said, he's just playing incredibly well right now. Just seems a little bit undervalued, probably because we're in Scotland, and it's obviously a very, very strong field. But he has shown that he can play in those fields. Won the Canadian Open. He obviously went toe-to-toe with Scotty Scheffler at the Waste Management Phoenix Open. So, I think all that stuff is very promising. And we've seen these random PGA players. I think we had the Alex Smalley year, right? We had a Cameron Tringale year. We had a Lee Hodges year, I think. That stuff can certainly happen here. So, I could see it. I didn't get there, but I think you'll see Nick Taylor on plenty of betting cards this week.
Yeah, like the year you talk about, Brandon Wu, Tringale, and Alex Smalley all inside the top 10 in 2022. 2023, you've got David Lingmerth in 3rd. You've got a very JT Poston in 6th. Benny Ann and Lingmerth, both PGA Tour players at that point, finishing in tie for 3rd. Sungjae in 4th last year, Thigala 4th. It's a very friendly links event for these PGA Tour guys, and I just thought Taylor was too big. Before we launch into the triple digits, just a shout out to the audio listeners. So you can listen on the mix, on iTunes, on the Mayo Media Network, Spotify, all those good stuff, DP World Tour picks and bets. Different ways to kind of listen to us if you're not into YouTube and looking at our faces, which is up for debate whether you want to do that or not. Triple digits, Brian, you've got a couple there. Go ahead. I haven't got there with any yet, but I'm willing to be talked into.
Yeah, I think so. I bet these both each way. I bet them both in the market without Scotty, Rory, and Fleetwood. I didn't really need Fleetwood in there. I chose that market because I had already bet Fleetwood, so it just sort of made sense not to double dip and bet against myself. But I think this is a great market for a lot of these European Tour long shots who have been playing really well. I've seen plenty of Martin Coover out there. I've seen some Antoine Rosner out there. I almost got to Matty Schmidt. Was very close on that. I don't think he is exactly what I'm looking for here. So as I mentioned, I took Laurie Cantor and Christopher Wrightan. Both were 125 with 5 places without the top 3. Both played really well last week. I think Wrightan ended up 4th and Cantor was 8th or 7th. Cantor's played well here, but with Wrightan too, I think both of them just have the skill set that I'm looking for with the off the tee game. I think Wrightan is a much, much better putter than Laurie Cantor. But I think Laurie Cantor is still one of the best players over here. And if he could just be neutral on the greens and not miss 4-footers all week, I think he can really factor here. So 125-1 on Cantor and Wrightan. Yeah,
so it's interesting you mentioned about Cantor, because I looked at his form at the golf course and was disappointed. When I saw the missed cut, 59 missed cut. Now, probably in his better years, he's missed 2 starts here because he's been playing on live, right? I think that's one of the factors. I think he can play anywhere. I think that's one of the things that we like. He's got top 25 in the Open Championship. He's played well in the Dunhill Link. So I think in terms of the style of golf, he's absolutely fine. As you said, I think just probably a different player to what we've seen over the years. Wrightan's an interesting one because we just haven't seen what he's going to play like in this type of event. We know the last 2 weeks we've spoken about him now of the best player on the tour currently and just in that kind of rich vein of form. We have no idea how he's going to react to playing in this event. But when you look at, as you've said, we've had these kind of Romain Langasque finishing third in 2024. We've had Richard Manzon, Victor Perez finishing top 10. We had Alejandro Del Rey have two really good rounds here last year. Grant Forrest 11th. You know, like
all guys who hit it far off the tee, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. So I think in terms of the skill set and in terms of just coming here, I mean, Jamie Donaldson finished 6th in 2022, would people believe? So in terms of just having the skill set, he's got it. Right, that's the first thing we're looking for. I have no idea.
So. Yeah. Well, and like I think again, like we've said, he is probably the best player on the tour this year, and I feel like historically, whether that was Jordan Smith or Thomas Peters or someone like that, they were not 200 to 1 in these fields, right? No. Like I feel like they were 80 or 66 or 90. So, and I mean. He's won recently, has a few other top 5 finishes, and that's really all I'm looking for here is top 5 or top 6 or something like that.
And I think with someone like Peters, it was always because we had the kind of WGCs where we saw them a little bit more regularly. We had the Ryder Cups years where we've seen him playing. We haven't had that chance with Ryan. Like he's not going to probably play in the Ryder Cup this year, regardless of what he does between now and then. Like, but as we keep mentioning, he's a really good player. So I definitely get it. I mentioned Del Rey there purposely because he finished 15th here last year, second round 62, final round 65. The form has been really poor. On the face of it, there's been a couple of things to kind of sort of hang your hat on. If he was 13th going into the final round at the KLM, he was decent final round in Sadao. He only just missed the cut last week. Really well improved after 2 rounds. There's not enough other than just him playing really well, but he has that skill set you're after. Right.
Yeah, and I think did Coley bet him? I feel like he did this morning. I just sort of skimmed through the article, but there was someone who was on him again here this week. And yeah, we've seen that elite off the tee skill translate. I think it was the U.S. Open a few years ago where he popped up a little bit. So I could definitely see it.
I think the thing with him. And it's like we thought he was going to kick on after the win.
Yeah.
We felt like he was just going to kick on and you got the elites and he just hasn't. That's the thing that concerns me. Is like if he's not kicking on the DP Tour, is he suddenly going to have it all in the PGA Tour events? That would be the downside, but it's 400 to 1 or 500 to 1. So we're not really asking too much from him. Someone like Jens Dansov, I mean, I mentioned him last week, he's playing well. And like if you want just someone at a really big price, he'd be one of them. I didn't realize Brandt Snedeker was playing. Right?
Yeah, that was a weird one. Yeah, I mean, look, there's guys who have been playing really well in Europe that are basically like 1,000 to 1 or 500 to 1. Like, would it surprise you if, like, I don't know, Nikolai von Dellinghausen was T8 on Sunday? Probably not with how well he's been playing. I mean, Bradbury's down there again. Bairstow is down there again. Martin Kuvra, who I mentioned, I think is fine. One other name I was close on, he was 300 this morning. Daniel Hillier, who, again, I was on last week. Many people were on. I believe he missed the cut on the number, so I'm not overly concerned about that. But again, like links, wind experience, pretty good off the tee. Obviously doesn't have a very good short game, so that would worry me. But I think a lot of these guys who we've been on all summer, I could see them all popping here. So
Hillier, second round 66 here 2 years ago, was in 10th going into the weekend, 266s last year. So that's of relative interest. What price is Max Grayson?
As much as 90 this morning, maybe 80s probably now. I think he got bet down a little bit.
Like he's that random guy that popped up here last year, right? Like around the top 20, he's playing really well.
Yeah, look, I think again, as we saw in Detroit, he bombs it and he can putt. He's not the best putter, but he can get very, very streaky with the putter, and I think those skill sets will bode well for anybody this week.
I mean, guessing by your betting card with Raitan and Cancer, your answer is the DP World Tour guys. But where do you think the opportunity? Do you think it's the undervalued DP World Tour guys that people don't know enough about, or do you think it's the overpriced Americans that people don't think are good at links?
I do not think it's the overpriced Americans. Yeah, I just think so. Like, it seems like a lot of these guys have been playing all over the world, so it's kind of a hodgepodge. Like, I look at a guy like Matty Schmidt, right, who's obviously like he's been playing PGA, almost won the Schwab, but randomly came over and played the home game at the BMW, right? So like these guys are kind of all over. But yeah, like I saw some people betting Wyndham Clark this morning, right, because he's played well here, kind of has that skill set. But like I'm not looking at overpriced Americans this week. No.
No, okay. We're at different lines of thinking. Other than, I mean, Nick Taylor's Canadian, so maybe I'm just maybe I just put my hat on that one. We talked about Jordan Smith just quickly. It's 125 to 1 this week.
Yeah.
He's got 12th and 24th place finishes. Him finishing in the each way places is very doable. I could definitely see Smith finishing in the places. I just don't know. Well, obviously, the question is he can't win.
Yeah, that's always worry with him, right? He's not going to win, but 8th, 9th place finish, it seems like it's right up his alley. Yeah, I mean, if he could get across the line yesterday.
Yeah.
Sure. Yes. Top 10, even a first round leader, right? If he had like a morning tee time, I could definitely see that with Jordan Smith.
Yeah, I think he's priced nicely in the outright market. That makes him a better bet in the night markets. I think that's probably the way to go. Ryan, last sort of 10 minutes or so, let's just run through the Isco Championship. So new golf tour. You said that you kind of looked at some aerial footage, potentially reminded you of Colonial. Think that you can kind of drive a lot of these par fours. I haven't looked at it that far, but if they were playing on the moon this week, I would still bet David Bryant at 170 to 1.
Yes, I had forgotten about him when I first started looking this morning, and then I got a text from Sky as a quick reminder that we need to bet Davis Bryant, and he fit because he was 170 to 1. But yeah, like you said, I don't know much about the course, but it's par 70, not overly long, kind of tree lined, but open enough off the tee that like it's not like wooded, right? There's trees, but it's not wooded. So yeah, with the dog legs and some short par fours, definitely reminded me of Colonial a bit. I think a little bit like last week at John Deere as well. And then obviously I'm still going to look at the past results from Keen Trace. I think there's enough overlap between those courses and obviously grass type. So I think my card's going to look a lot like everybody else's. I bet the favorite, which I don't normally do, but when the favorite is Michael Thorbjornsen, and I've been betting him for weeks and I feel like the win is coming, I was willing to do it. Bet Cameron Champ again, who I know we've been on. 28 to 1 on Champ was terrible, but just a little FOMO there. And then I took Chris Ventura because I love Norway's. Took Jackson Suber, and then the aforementioned Davis Bryant as well.
Yeah, I think Suber has been playing nicely and got that kind of skill set that you're looking for. Cam Champ, I think, is probably one of the more obvious bets. I know that he's one of those ones that you do want to see that he's had some random flashes of golf course sometimes, but I don't really care. Like he's just like a winner in amongst a field of losers. So I think that's kind of the biggest factor for me. When I think about the Isco Championship, I think back to last year. We had Sadier, who was in 16th, Sam Bairstow was 6th, Ben Taylor was 6th. We had some sort of DP World Tour representation, Hidalgo. Max Rotluff was a really random name up there.
Yeah.
But when you go to the 2023, we had Norman beating Kimsey in the playoffs, Sadier 3rd, Daniel Brown 7th, who just won last week, Rivetto, Levy, and Kawamura 9th.
Yeah.
Out 14th. So we've had enough, haven't we, in a couple of years to suggest that we should look at these kind of DP World Tour players in form. That's why I've gone down the Davis Bryant. That's why I would look, and I've just mentioned Jens Dansop for Scottish. He's actually playing in the Isco, so Jens Dansop in here as well, probably in mind. Kazumi Kabori is playing really well, but presumably doesn't fit kind of what you want.
Yeah, and I think I'd like to see how he plays over here first. Maybe someone to look at the Barracuda in the next round of this. I think that course will fit him better.
Yeah, I just can't get my head around the fact that Davis Bryant is 170 to 1 when he's finished 4th, 23rd, 33rd, 10th, and 4th amongst his.
Yeah, like it just slipped through the cracks a little bit, right? And obviously, it's an American player, so that's a bit of a boost to him as well. So,
well, that's why I thought he was just going to be too short. I thought they were going to go, American returning to the PGA Tour, and we've tried to do it. I think we've kind of Crocker in the past and things like that, and been disappointed. But I think it's just really good. So yeah. I think that's probably my favorite bet of the week across the two tours. Ryan, shall we summarize our bets for the week?
Yep.
So if I start us off at the Scottish Open, Robert McIntyre is 33 to 1. Matt Fitzpatrick best price 45 to 1. Harry Hall's going out in price now 70 to 1, which I'm very encouraged about, unless there's something I don't know that's causing that. Nick Taylor as big as 100 to 1 in the Scottish Open. Ryan, your picks there?
Yeah, so 22 to 1, Tommy Fleetwood. Let's get across the line for once. Matt Fitzpatrick, 45 to 1. Adam Scott, 55 to 1. And then in the without the top 3 market, I have Raitan and Cantor at 125 to 1 with 5 places.
It would be some sort of poetic justice if you signed off your 3-week stint on the show with Tommy Fleetwood finally getting over the line after disappointments, wouldn't it? So maybe we'll cheer that on if none of mine are in the mix by the time something comes around, which, if anything like last week's to go by, then that's definitely going to happen. I'm very tempted. In terms of just deep, if we just keep it to Deep World Tour, guys, I'm probably going to keep it to just Davis Bryant in the Isco Championship at 170. I might look at Dan Torp's price.
I think you should bet Jackson Super. Come on, hop on.
Jackson, yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, I'm just thinking about just Deep World Tour, guys.
But yeah.
Yeah, Jackson Super, definitely. And then probably Cam Champ would be my other one in that.
Perfect. Yeah.
Did you want to review yours just very quickly?
Yes. So Michael Thorbjornsen at 16 to 1, Cameron Champ at 28, Chris Ventura at 50, Jackson Suber, I think it was 80 this morning, might be a little bit shorter than that now. And then before mentioned Davis Bryant at 170 to 1.
And they do get the 2-year exemption, right, for this, if they win this tournament?
Yes, won't be a Masters invite, but it should be the full 2 years. Yeah.
So I think that's obviously it's a massive incentive, and we talked about what it does trying to finish in that kind of top 10 PGA Tour list at the end of the year. But for someone like a Davis Bryant, who very clearly would prefer to play back in America, I think it's such a huge opportunity. And sometimes that plays against them and it's too much pressure, but that's one of the biggest reasons I like him this week. So
absolutely,
go Davis Bryant, go Fitz in Scotland.
Yeah, let's do it.
Ryan, thank you as ever. It's been an absolute pleasure to do 3 weeks in a row with you. I think Sky is back next week, unless we don't.
It better be. I mean, it's a major, yeah.
Yeah, I don't think we do anything for the Open actually. It's been a while since we did one of those DP World Tour guys in the major conversations. I'm gonna have a chat with Pat this week about just some guys I think probably in the Scottish and the Open Championship.
Yeah.
I guess just quickly before you sign off, Ryan, in case we don't do this again next week, any thoughts about some of those guys in the Open Championship and longer odds? I guess I know you said you've got Fitz in the market, but
yeah, I mean, I think this will be a good week to see if any of these guys can pop up in a field like this. I do have some long shots next week. Not DP long shots. I'm talking like Jason Day, Sepp Straka.
Yeah.
I have some interest in Ryan Fox next week. Curious to see. I have some interest in Ryan Fox this week. I think he's a name who could pop. I did bet Fitz for next week. I think Victor Hovland is going to end up being one of the favorites next week, depending on how things go here. So that's one to watch as well. And then, look, we have the live guys too. Like Rahm continues to play great. Hatton continues to play great. So very interested to see how things shake out next week.
So you've potentially just reeled off my betting card for next week. So if I was just asked just to give one name for the Open Championship, I said John Rahm. Like if I just wasn't picking odds or anything, I think he's just shown it in the mix for the last kind of few now. Hatton, I was really impressed with the US Open performance. Looks like he's ready to go and win one now. Don't know if I love the number yet, and I've got to make that decision next week.
I bet him this week instead. 9 to 1 at Valderrama seem better than like 25-1 at Portrush. So
yeah, makes sense. But you mentioned the live guys. I quite like Patrick Reed. He played well here in 2019 at Portrush. Yeah. Ryan Fox was the name you mentioned. I've bet him. He's only 80-1. So it's not a massive number, right? He's 60-1 this week. So he's 20 points bigger than. He's not got great form at this course, the Renaissance.
Yep.
I actually think he'll relish going, and he did in 2019.
He's a very good links player. Like, I think people don't like. Yeah, I think people who haven't followed the European Tour don't really know that, and he can play these like club down courses as well, right? Like, I like Ryan Fox quite a bit.
Third after round 1 in Portrush, so I am almost certainly going to bet him next week. Or I've had a little bit on him, but certainly put him up next week as well.
I probably will as well. We still have 100 with 5 places over here, so
perfect. Yeah,
I might do that.
I like it. Ryan, nice to finish off there with a couple of names for next week's event.
Yep.
Good luck this week, and thank you for hopping in.
Let's do it. Thanks, Tom.